Good day and welcome back to Elementary 72 Gaming. Today we are joined on our little stream with Grimmcore, one of the developers of Valheim. As you can see, Valheim is running on the side here, and we will have a conversation about some of the key topics in the game at the moment. Now, Grimmcore has graciously accepted my invitation to be interviewed, and I hope that you all do enjoy. And you can leave a list of questions down below if there's ever going to be another listing of interviews. I will go through them and see if any of them need to be put in, and it might be a different content creator who has it. So let's get started. Grimcore, say hello.
Hello, thank you for having me on.
Yeah, it's always a pleasure to have you around. As I said, you are the rock stars of the gaming community. Um,
Oh no. But okay.
uh, to be honest, in the past year and a half, your game wasn't even on the big hit releases, and you did over what was it, 10 million downloads for your game, 10 million installations. That's a fantastic number. So yeah.
Is it 10 million? I only know about 7 million.
Oh, so it stopped at 7. I thought that it kept growing after that.
No, I guess it. Okay. Let me be more clear. I haven't checked since 6 million. Someone told me it was 7. I'm not, and I'm guess it's growing, but I haven't checked for a long time.
Oh, okay. All right. So let's get into this. So the first thing to ask about the game is a lot of people have run into some of the bugs and glitches. Considering that the game's been out for so many months, obviously people will run into a few bugs. Happens even in the greatest development situations. What is the process on reporting bugs?
I think right now you can either. I'm not the bug reporting master though,
Oh,
but
okay.
so either you can go to Discord and we have a channel for that there, or you can go to a homepage that you can find on our Discord where you can report the bugs, where we try to stack all the bugs that are similar and they might be. Some of them are solved, and you can find the answer and solution there as well.
Okay.
I don't know the homepage in my mind right now, but I could give you a link later.
Don't worry, that's fine. I'll leave a link to the Discord in my description of my video, so everybody can obviously jump straight into the Valheim Discord. There will also be a link to my Discord if you want to be a follower of my channel. So that's the way that it will go. Now, beyond all of that, another thing with some of the bugs and glitches is players were complaining about the skill drop rate. And every time you die, you drop a certain amount of skills. Is there anything in
Mhm.
the works for that to be reduced or any changes around the skill points and the death reductions?
Uh, So when I started working on Valheim with Richard and Henrik, the skill reduction was actually 30%. Always 30%.
Oh, okay.
Which is pretty steep. And I was like, oh dear. That means like when you get up to higher numbers, like when you're up in, say you've got like 30, 100 in skill, that means you actually lose 30 skill points. And I was like, oh my dear. That's that's really rough. But I think it's changed to. I'm not sure. Is it down at 2% or something?
No, it's still
I'm
quite
not
high.
really.
It's still quite high. I drop from 60 to 40 all the time.
All right.
Uh,
I'm not really sure the percentages right now. We haven't actually looked that much at what we did do a change just before early access is that you get the 10-minute corpse run buff, which means you can't lose skill points if you die again within 10 minutes, which doesn't really help in all situations. We understand that, but maybe we should look at that. That's a really good pointer. Maybe we should look over the skill loss. I don't actually think it's such a big issue because I don't think it does. The skills don't do that big of an impact. It does do some impact, but
it
yeah.
at maximum, isn't it a 50% increase to your stamina? That's quite a big impact.
Is it? Did you say 30 or 40?
50, 50.
Okay. Really? 50?
Yes, someone said it looks like a 50% increase at 100% skill because they
Mm.
use the cheats to max out the skills, and they compared it to start and end, and they said it's about a 50% increase. They can swing their axe so
Okay,
many more
interesting.
times.
I was actually talking to Richard the other. Was it yesterday or 2 days ago? We were talking about the skills and stuff, and he said that it was something about 30% or something if you have it at 100. But maybe it's different for different skills as well. I'm not really sure. But yeah,
Okay.
that's something we might be looking over. Yeah.
All right. Okay, I'm not going to go over all the glitches that we were going to ask about. The next thing we were going to ask about is raids. Are the raids going to get any tougher coming in the future? Are we going to have harder hordes? Are we going to have goblin raids or beyond, like something from one of the other biomes?
You mean like the events when they start raiding you?
Yeah, yeah, those ones.
So we found a bug last week, I think. It seems as like people have never even had the wolf event come up at all. We didn't even know that it wasn't working. But I think for the next patch, you will start having the wolf event come up, and the goblin event will start coming up as well. So yeah, some of those events weren't even working. People didn't even know about that they weren't even working. So,
Okay, and
but yeah, as we progress through the game, obviously we want to put in more difficult events. We've also talked about it would be cool if you could have. We haven't really decided on this yet, but it would be nice if you have an event happen, it would be cool if you had a resource attached to this, that you get some kind of prize for fighting it out, or have commanders come into the game somehow, or some kind of elite mob somehow that could give you something.
yeah,
Uh, but we haven't decided anything on that. But it would be a cool idea.
that would be a fantastic idea. I can imagine people going out and fighting them more often. Okay,
Mm.
another thing, is there any way to force the raid to start off from a further distance from your base? Because I've had raids start inside my base on top of a workbench. I thought the workbench actually extends the range.
That sounds horrible. I guess there could be. I know that Richard is able to define the area.
Okay.
But yeah, I guess we could look into that as well,
Be-
if that's a big issue for many people.
Well, it happened to me twice. One at a spawner, a troll spawned on top of the spawner and just smashed it through, so the spawner got destroyed. And the second was in one of my big castle bases. So I'm sitting inside, I see the ground is shaking, and normally they wander off after a few minutes. And I just see one of the sides of my building take massive damage. So I ran out and I saw that he spawned inside my pathway on top of my work table. So I was wondering if there's any way to extend it so that they're outside the base, so I can chase them outside and fight them.
Mm. Oh, totally understand that, but that also depends on. I mean, a base is very much defined by how big build it, so
I build
you
huge.
might need some extra properties to actually define where it should start and where it should end, where they should be spawning, and so on.
Yeah,
But yeah, I guess that could be doable. Yeah.
my bases are massive. What is it? 24 by 24 in foundation size.
Oh,
Twen-
that's nice.
Yeah, that's just my small base, and then I have a bigger one coming up. It's gonna be 32 by 32.
Oh, okay. That's that's huge.
No, those are tiny bases. I've seen people with bigger bases.
Okay, so basically my bases are small huts compared to your bases then in that
Those
case.
are castles. That's the only reason they're so big.
Yep.
Okay. So getting off that topic, the spawners. A lot of people have been running spawner farms, and they're finding that spawners just disappear after a few days. Is that normal? Is that part of the mechanics, or is that a glitch?
Which any specific spawners?
The Grey Dwarf spawners.
Does the whole spawner disappear?
Yeah, the whole spawner disappears. We build up
Oh,
entire
I have.
buildings around it to protect it, and then like after about 50 days in game, it just disappears.
That's really weird. That is weird.
Okay, so that's a
But it's not. I mean, it disappears. It doesn't break or anything. It doesn't leave
no, nothing
any
is left
resources or
behind.
anything.
I was just sitting there watching it because those are AFK farms. So I'm just sitting there and I'm waiting for the next horde to spawn, and I'm wondering why there's no more black smoke dropping. So then I jumped down to go and look at the the spawner, and then I see the spawner is gone. So I had to disassemble my entire farm. So I was,
Yep, I haven't actually heard. I'm not actually working that hard on bugs anymore.
oh, okay.
It was a couple of months since I actually, but it's good to learn about these things. I'll have a talk with the Smith later. He is our bug testing guy.
Okay, so now comes the heavy questions. DLC based, I'm pretty sure you're going to be heavy on those sections. So, what are the coming DLCs for the game? Because I've heard leaks that there are two DLCs coming. I've heard a leak that someone said there's one DLC and four updates. I'm not sure which one is true. Which one would be the correct statement there?
I don't think any of them are correct. I don't even know how that's even a leak. Is that something made up?
Uh,
Because it
Someone
sounds
said
really strange.
there's the Odin DLC coming out with the new set of armor for us. The Odin set, I think it's just a helmet and a cape with a drinking horn. And
Oh, that's a DLC that already exists for all the beta testers. Everyone who was a beta tester or even signed up for a beta test, they got the Odin cape and Odin cowl and the drinking horn as well as a gift from us for helping us out.
oh, okay, that is awesome. So then the next thing which was asked, the next thing which they said was there's the Heart and Home, if I'm correct, the next update that's coming, and then there's three more planned after it. I'm not sure if that's true or false.
Oh, it's true. We're currently working on the Hearth and Home update right now.
Oh, okay.
We're a bit delayed on that, to be honest, because we didn't imagine. Okay, we had a smaller sample size in the beta test. I think we should have had a bigger sample size of people beta testing. I mean, that way we could have ironed out a lot of bugs for the early access. But since we had to work like the 2 first months just bug testing and just fixing everything, uh, we are in full works on Hearth and Home, which will be coming trademark soon.
Okay, yeah, that's cool. So a quick question on Heart and Home. What can we expect from that package? Because everybody is just guessing at what's inside it, and you definitely have some input in what's going in there. So can you tell us about anything that's coming in Heart and Home, or is it secret to the update?
Uh, no, I can say some things. I guess
Okay.
we are rebalancing a lot of things in like a lot of food recipes, adding new food, just making sure that it's a more better progression through all the biomes with a lot of things, basically, without spoiling too much. But there'll also be, as the name implies, that it's hearth and home. It's something to do with the home and building. So you might get one or two new stuff.
Hmm.
Also, but there's a lot of things around the total balance of the game. There are big changes, basically. I think that if you'll have to change your mindset a little bit when you jump in and start playing Hearth and Home, which I think would be cool. I'd recommend start a new server, but you don't have to start a new server, a new world just to play it. You'll still keep everything like it was before. Nothing will change in that way. But I would recommend just starting a new world, new character, just to feel the new and improved Valheim.
Okay, that is awesome. So it's basically like a DLC if it changes that
Oh, no,
much.
no, no! It's we talked about this as well. We don't anything that's going to be DLC related cannot be attached to balance issues. So
Oh, okay.
so the content patch that we are releasing is going to be it's going to be a fix for Valheim itself. And anything, if we release anything that is DLC, it'll be more like cosmetics and stuff that won't affect the game that much, I guess. Because we don't want to be balancing two different branches at the same time. So this is going to be merged into the Valheim branch, basically.
Okay, that is fantastic. Actually, you answered two of the questions at the same time over there, even though I didn't ask the second question. The one question was actually supposed to be when it comes to DLCs and updates, Do we need to restart servers to play them, or will it be available in our current servers? You obviously answered that already. So let's
Oh
go.
no, no, no! Wait, I need to just help you out there. So for the Hearth and Home content patch, we're not adding a new biome, for example.
Oh,
But when we add like Mistlands as a big new biome, the way that our world generation mechanic works is that if you already explored an area, we can't update that area because it's already defined and you loaded all the meshes and all the models and everything into that place.
okay.
So if you've got a server, let's say that you start, oh, you're playing now, and Mistlands is just next week. So you get Mistlands next week. But you've discovered the whole server, you've been looking everywhere, and the Mistlands is basically empty. So if you start a new with the Mistlands content patch, you'll probably have to start a new world because there's so big changes to the world generation that you. So basically, a big thing is like you don't have the boss stone for Mistlands, for example, and that has to be added when you get the new Mistlands biome. You won't get that stone probably. I don't think we have a good system for implementing that boss stone in the beginning, as it is right now. So for those big ones with new biomes, you're gonna have to start a new world.
Okay. Another major question coming from a lot of the people in the game is, when is the game going to come out of early access into full launch? Is there a set date? Anything of the sort set for it?
Oh no, we don't have a set date for that. We just so the way we're working right now, we just want everything to. So obviously, we want Valheim to be a complete and good Valheim experience. And the way that we've been working before early access is very different to how we're working now, and we're not really satisfied with how we're working now. It doesn't feel as dynamic as it was before. We feel a bit locked behind the content patches and everything. So what we're going to try to do is we're going to push everything out, obviously, but I'm guessing it's going to take about 1.5, 2 years for everything to get to real launch, or
Oh,
so to
okay.
say.
Okay, that's quite a long time for it to be in early access. It's going to be a lot of fun on this game. We're gonna get to experience the changes in balance and everything moving forward. Now, let's see.
I think that the I think 2 years in early access isn't that long, to be honest. I think a lot of the normal age of an early access game before they go out of early access is between like 3 and 5 years or something like that.
Oh, okay. I've never been one to normally play early access or betas. I normally only play fully launched games. This is only the
Mm.
second early access I've ever played. So I'm not 100% sure on it. Uh, so
Oh,
yeah,
that's okay.
so I'm sorry about that question. The next thing to ask regarding the bosses in the game, how many bosses will there be by the time the game is completely launched at current on your roadmap? Because things can change moving forward.
Oh. Mm. So that all depends if I get to if I get to do lots of mini bosses or not. I've got so many bosses and so many surprise things that I want to put into the game. It all comes down to do we should we even do it? But you would at least say one per biome. So how many? We've got five now. So Mistlands, Ashlands, Deep North, probably Ocean. So at least 9 bosses, not counting mini bosses. And when I say mini bosses, I mean ultra mega super difficult bosses. They're not mini at all. I mean, these bosses would be like, they would be really difficult to kill, and you can't kill them with cheats. I want to make it so you can't kill them with cheats. If you hit them, you'll always just damage them. One damage every time. It'll take a week to drop one of these guys, and you get amazing loot. But it'll be optional.
Oh.
But yeah, that's how I want it to be. But I'm sure it's not going to be totally that way.
Those don't sound like mini bosses. Those sound like end game bosses. They're like
Oh yeah, and okay, let's just yep.
that sounds like the story's end. It sounds like you've completed the quest of the biomes. You have quelled the aspects of nature. Now finish off the great gods of the natures of Valheim. and slay the
Mm.
evil that's ruling over it, and like 3 super bosses appear. Kill one each week. And that would be
I think it would be really
something.
cool if you just like say if you go kill Elder, then you awake another Elder somewhere in the world, and you'd see him. You'd always see him on the minimap, like an icon. You'd always see where he is walking. So he's already spawned out in the world. So you'd almost have to avoid him because he's going to be so super difficult that it's not going to be fun.
I'm actually just going to say something. I know this might be very offensive, but the bosses, when it comes to people who've reached, like, into the plains, we find that the first, the second, and the third boss are super easy to kill. They don't have that level of, intense difficulty like they did originally. They become so easy
Mm,
to kill when you have that higher level gear that it makes
mm,
no difference fighting them. Like, I know we jump out with a shield and a hammer and we kill the elder right now. We do the same thing with the first boss. We actually even went and we melee kill the first boss for fun. And
mm,
I know that's a bit insulting, but it's just having fun with the game because we know those bosses are made for the entry level. So we've jumped into it with the higher level. We've even done, I think, what was it, 5 bosses at once from the first boss, just to see if they can do any
mm.
damage to us. And in our metal armor, just the iron armor before the silver or the padded armor, we managed to take on all 5 without even taking 10 damage points from 5 bosses.
Yeah, that sounds good. I like it. I mean, I love Dark Souls and I like really difficult games, something that is really challenging. But since we have such a wide, I think a lot of the issues actually come from we don't just have adventurers and combat inspired players. We have the builders as well.
Hmm.
It becomes a bit difficult to try to balance a boss that it works for so many people. And that's why I would like to implement these mini bosses out in the world bosses out in the world because they would be more of a challenge for the adventurer more than the builder. So basically, the main bosses should be you
Easy.
should be able to beat them if you're just a builder and you just want to progress through the game and beat the game.
Okay.
But then put in the mini bosses so you get the extra difficulty.
Okay. So I have another update question. Now, this is a bit of a heavy question. It might be a major spoiler. But considering that we've
Mhm.
already upgraded all the way to the Iron Age when it comes to technology, is the next step in technology going to come closer to our early 18 and 1900s tech? Or is it going to stay in the medieval range of technology?
Oh, that's a bit of a difficult question to answer. I would say I don't know. I don't. We won't be going into Victorian ages. We won't be going too far ahead of ourselves. I think people will be surprised at uh, where we're heading in terms of technology
Okay.
in Mistlands.
Okay. Okay. So that's something to look forward to. I can't wait to see what.
Oh yeah, yes.
I know there's the fifth boss. I haven't killed him as yet, and I'm actually preparing to fight him. I don't know if he unlocks more tech for me to play with, more gear, another tier of weapons, and so forth. I'm sure he doesn't at the moment because we don't have another biome set to kill for
No,
boss.
if you're in planes, you're gonna have the black metal weapons and stuff like that.
Yeah,
So you won't be getting. You might be getting. Oh, I can't say
you
anything about
can.
that. Nope, there is no more gear than that.
Okay. So it's good to know there's going to be future updates. Everybody knows there's going to be future updates, and we're definitely going to have more bosses, more difficulty, and bigger weapons, obviously, to fight them. So that much is known. That's a given.
Mm,
Okay.
yes.
So let's see. Okay. This is a bit of a weird question. So when it comes to mining, we use the iron pickaxe. Is there any upgrades to mining coming out? Is it possible that we're gonna get a black metal set for mining? Because the standard pickaxe doesn't have that much of durability.
Mm. I think that the why do we even use pickaxes is a better question. Because we feel like when you go into a new biome, we want you to harvest the new resources in that biome. And a lot of the times we like the idea of that you have to mine out the metal. But when you came to planes, we had a lot of different discussions if we wanted to. Before we made the black metal come to life, we were talking about making gemmed weapons or crystal weapons or something different that you need that didn't really necessarily need a new pickaxe for. So the pickaxe is just only there for getting the materials, and sometimes like you can terraform with them, and that's all good. But the base thing is that we need some kind of tool to harvest the new materials that we want to push out in a biome. We have different other ideas for how it's going to be in Mistlands, which I'm really excited for because it's going to be cool. It's going to be very, very cool. But no, if it's just a durability issue, I'm sure that's just a question of balance. But no new pickaxes are coming right now until we've got something to use that pickaxe for. Most of the times we use the pickaxe as a gate as well, or certain tools as a gate, so you can't really go there and try to sequence break the game.
Okay, okay. All right. Now, the next question. When it comes to the regards of transport, transporting metal is a really difficult situation in the standard game. Are any transport methods going to open up for transporting metal? Because moving around with simple ores has become a tedious task for some players when moving through biomes to find new resources. Is this meant to slow down your progression in the game, or is it going to change in the future? Sorry about the length of that question.
Oh no, I understand, but I think that the main reason, I mean, if I could decide, I would delete portals. I would get rid of portals totally. Because the portals actually they help you get from one place to another place really fast and easy. I just don't like the idea of portals. It's good to use and everything, but as soon as you start making anything that you can fast travel with the specific, like the precious materials from a place, those materials are not precious anymore, and you can game it much more, which takes out the whole adventure part of Valheim. So I'd rather put in horses, that you could have horses pull wagons and stuff like that. But I think it's the big part is the adventure of Valheim,
Mhm.
trying to get something from one place to another, or just build an entirely new base at one place. I mean, there's a lot of different options, but
Uh,
we might be having stuff coming in the future.
okay. Now, you see, the whole thing with the resource movement was a lot of players came up with the idea of jumping servers. Even I started using that method because I found it to be too tedious to make a full ship movement for half an hour to move around 30 metal to smelt it. Because you had to move it all the way, either way, to get your crafting station set up at your new base or the other way around. And you had to move things around to upgrade all your stations. So it was taking too long. So I ended up going with the cheat method and I jumped servers to move metal around. I know that's not the
Well,
way
I
it's
think that's
meant.
good. I think that's totally fine. I think that's great. If that method works for you and you think if you think that's fun, or if it helps you, I think you should play that way. Or and if you want to get mods that help you, I think you should play the game that way. Play the game however you feel like you want or need to play it.
Yeah.
But we had an intended idea and vision for it. So if you, but I mean, it's always going to be up to the players and how they solve the problem, because it is obviously an issue that we want to give players. Like, this is the issue right now. There's oceans between you. You've got your forge back in your base. Do you move to swamps, or do you stay here? Do you start transporting it? How do you transport it? Instead of just walking through fast portals, which I think is, for me, it's not a fun way to play.
Yeah. Going the fast travel route, I don't understand what you mean by it. Takes out that fun from the game, but just one or two items become a bit tedious because, say, for example, you set up a base which is halfway across the map and you want to set up a tool rack. And you have to now travel all the way across the map just to reset up that one item. It becomes, that tedious feeling to the game. And that's normally where players get a little bit upset. Uh,
Mm, yep.
okay.
And I totally understand that, and it's totally fine.
Okay, so here is a question. I think someone gave me this question before you all nerfed Deathsquitos. So here's the question, right? The question reads: Deathsquitos are quite a nuisance in the plains biome, and they are really tough with the way in which their mechanic works, especially the sense that they interfere with your fights. Are you planning to nerf them in any way, or are you planning to reduce their spawn in the plains due to them interfering with all your fights? Uh,
Uh, I think they're a great addition. Like, okay, you have to remember that you're talking to someone who likes it difficult.
yeah.
So if you're not, people are not gonna get sympathy from me. But no, I like the Deathsquito as it is. We did nerf it back a few months ago. I
Mhm.
don't. It was a bit difficult. It was doing too much damage. But it's like one swat and you kill it. I don't really see the issue. I like the idea that it actually just pops up behind you and starts eating you and it just kills you. I love it.
Uh, judging from
I'm
this,
sorry, but
judging from this player's description of it, I'm actually gonna add my experience. When I go into raid a camp, the falling camps. Normally, when I'm fighting
mhm,
them and there's like 12 or 15 of them, all of a sudden this death skeeter will appear, and even though you're swinging and you're attacking, you can't hit the death skeeter because you're fighting the furlings. And if you turn to hit the
yep,
death skeeter, the furlings just melee you on your back, and they'll
yep,
kill you instantly. So you have to choose which way you're going to take that fight. And if you try to run, the furlings are going to catch you, and the death skeeter is going to catch you. So that's where I think that annoyance issue comes in, because they spawn into the middle of battles. They interfere with your progression. For me, I know I've died like in the past 2 days, like 20 times to death skeeters over any mob.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry it happened to you, but it's the way I do it is if I'm taking over a goblin fooling camp, I usually scout around the whole base. I normally dig up and make fences. Sometimes I'll just make a bonfire somewhere close that I can have run around the bonfire to kill Deathsquitos. I mean, even the windmill, if a Deathsquito flies into the windmill, they will die. That's an option you could put up when you're doing what you're doing. I don't really see the whole issue.
Okay.
I think a lot of players these days are too hasty and just want to get things over and done with. And but yeah, the Deathsquito can be tricky, but I think there's many ways to deal with the Deathsquito.
Actually, what you just said now just made me think about it. I'm trying to hardcore the furling villagers by, just going in and meleeing them with Frostnir or the axe. And now I just
Yeah,
realized if I was thinking about it more tactically, then it wouldn't be so difficult with the Deathsquito.
no,
Uh, uh,
I like to play. So the way I see Valheim is it's not an action game; it's a reaction game. That's how I play it. So I wait for enemies to attack me. I wait for them to hit their first move. I like to fight in areas that I prepared. I like to like if I'm going for a boss, I prepare the area. If I'm going into a difficult place, I prepare for going in. So for me, Valheim is more of a reaction kind of game. If you look at it
mhm.
that way, it'll be easier to try to
So
get your things done better without dying.
So I did that preparation method for the second boss in the game, and the community literally attacked me like crazy for it. People said that I was cheating by preparing a base right next to it. I told them the base took me a whole week to prepare so that I could fight the elder from it without taking too much of damage, that the fight was, more on my terms.
Mm.
And based on the community's response to it, I never did it again. I never over
Oh,
prepared for
really?
the boss fight.
All right. I mean, that's one way to think of it. But I mean, you have the possibilities and the utility to do anything you want in the game and prepare.
Mhm.
In my world, if you're not preparing and if you die and you complain about it, I don't see I don't understand the complaint then.
Yeah.
If you had time to prepare, if you had things you could have done better, why not just do that instead of like, I died, I hate this game.
Yeah, I get it. The community is definitely going to hate on that comment. They're going to be like, so you want us to cheat in the game?
No. Preparing is not cheating. Cheating is cheating. If you're cheating, you're a stinky cheater. But if you're preparing, that's not cheating.
Okay,
That's just playing cautious.
I'm just going to admit it myself. I've cheated 4 times in the game. I feel bad about cheating in those 4 methods, but that's just about it.
I think that ultimately try to play the game so that you have fun. Like if you want to pick up ore and just use the commands to fly back to base, I think you should do that as long as you're just having fun. I mean, don't take Valheim too serious. It's just a game.
You see, I knew there was that command to fly around, but the only reason I've never used it to fly to base is there's a possibility of you exploring more lands by accident by just going over in a straight line.
Yep, that's true. That's true.
uh, so that's why I use the jump method, jump to another server and go around. So, what do you think of players playing the game in the PvP with tribes on their custom-made modded servers? How do you feel about it?
I haven't. Could you explain what it is?
They custom mod the server so that you can't skill up by fighting against a rock. They limit your progression methods, so you can't come with a fully level character into the map. You have to come with the level 0 and work your way right through to the max level. And you work in a tribe of however many people, and then you'll have battles on set days, and you have challenges, and uh, basically they spawn in hordes for you to fight and things like that. So that's how it goes through for progression. And when you win battles, they give you prizes. So you get weapons and things to move you forward. Because you're in those large numbers, you can't obviously explore the whole map and get all the resources out of it.
Well, that sounds good. That sounds. I mean, if people think it's fun, then that sounds awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what to. I haven't actually played any mods yet. I try to play Valheim as it is, because I mean that's my job as well. Try to figure out how I can make the game from my standpoint. How can I make it better?
Yeah.
So I know that a lot of mods have made a lot of progress and made a lot of things better for those players who play those mods, and I think that's good for those who play those mods.
So,
but yeah, PvP is not something we want to put into the game that much. That's why we also changed it to what is it, friendly fire now instead of PvP.
Oh, okay. Another thing from the mods, this isn't in any of the questions. This is just me asking personally. What do you think of the mods that add higher difficulty creatures? Since you are one of those who love the higher difficulty, do you think that that is a good way? Because they even have higher level bosses. You can get 1-star and 2-star bosses in some of the packages with mods.
That sounds great. I mean, if as soon as we're talking about difficulty in the developer group, I always say, can we have hardcore mode, please? You die once, you can't respawn back in again. I'd like to have like a hardcore mode. When you die, you'll have this special statue of you there. All your stuff is gone. You have to start off from the beginning again with a new character or something like that. Anything that's super difficult, I think, yes, please.
There will be a fun mode to add to the game. I'm just making a random suggestion. How about a survival mode for the game? So I know you obviously start the game standard, but you can have like a survival game which only lasts a certain amount of days. Because obviously a hardcore mode like that, some players will go crazy if they end up dying to a Deathsquito over a boss. You get what I'm saying there? And obviously you can't AFK because you're AFK and all of a sudden a raid hits your base and you got killed by accident, you're going to be even more frustrated. So, would you ever think of adding a mode like that into the game? Like part of the official game, like a survival, this thing with an official server. Launches every 30 minutes or every half an hour. And you get to play it for half a day and it's over.
I have no idea. I don't think I'm not sure what kind of modes we want to put into the game. We have talked about maybe just making a creative mode which seems to be a lot what people want to have. But in terms of a lot of different modes, we haven't talked that much about that because we need to first of all, we need to finish the game first and see how the game turned out, and
Okay.
then go back and see how can we make it more interesting. If that's the case,
Okay. So this.
if
Okay. Sorry.
will hardcore mode actually add to the game when the whole game is here? Will hardcore mode actually give anything back to the game? Or has the mod community already made a hardcore mode by then? Do we need to implement that if anyone else has done it?
Okay, I get what you're saying. Okay. So now here's one of my questions. On official release, are you going to have official fixed servers that aren't randomly generated so that players can play as a community with the multiplayer aspect active?
I'm not sure I understand the question. Could you
Okay.
say it again?
When it comes to the final release of the game, are you going to have official servers, like made by you guys? They'll host it up as part of the game and where the community can play. So, like a 100-man server where the community can just jump in and everybody can play together.
But wouldn't that be just like the dedicated servers are right now?
There's dedicated servers. I didn't
Oh
know.
yes. So you can actually I think everyone gets a dedicated server in the tool when you buy Valheim. So you can actually just go pop onto a hosting place if you want to and have a dedicated server up all the time.
Okay, okay. Now, I thought that, like when you go into the game, there's the join game option, and you can just
Hmm.
hit community and it will have official Valheim 1, official Valheim 3, 4, and you have higher player counts, obviously, because 10 players is quite a bit of players, but you could have way more, like a 100-player
I
server.
yeah, I understand what you mean. I think that's not something we have talked about. That we will be hosting official servers. I'm not saying that it won't happen, but that's not something we have talked about just yet. But the possibility to host your own dedicated server is up right now,
Hmm.
so that you can see other. I'm not sure. Can you see other people's dedicated servers anymore?
Depends if they make it private.
Don't know.
If it's private, then you don't see the dedicated servers. If it's on community, then you see it all the time. It's just locked with the password.
Okay.
Mm.
No, I'm not. I can't really answer that because we haven't talked that much because the full game is pretty far off.
Yeah. Don't worry, I'm gonna be up for years. This game is so addictive. It's been eating me up, to be honest. uh,
Nice. But also take a break, play other games. Don't play Valheim all the time.
yeah, that's what I'm doing because at one point I think I sucked myself into the game for 3 days and I couldn't tell which
Mm,
day I started and which day I ended. And I said, nope,
mm.
if I'm getting this addicted to the game, it's going to be another story by the time this game officially releases. Let me play a few other games in its place as well. Although I want to be on this game 24/7, it's a bit too risky to do that. I don't want to end up becoming a Valheim zombie.
No, exactly. But I mean, that's what Richard says so many times when we're working. Like, it's good that people are taking breaks. Don't play Valheim all the time. Like, you only destroy your own experience if you don't go out and do something else. Like, play another game, go out and do something outside, or don't just play Valheim all the time. It becomes more fun for for you as an experience. Like, play something else. Come back when you want to play Valheim. Don't play it all the time.
Okay, this is my honest opinion. I find enough of an RPG in the game in terms of fighting the mobs. It is absolutely fun. You can go out, you can fight an easy mob in the form of the Grey Dwarves if you just want to be OP. You can fight the trolls if you want a little bit of difficulty, even though they're not that difficult anymore. And if you want real difficulty, you just jump into the plains and aggravate the base or aggravate one of their villages. And you'll have a totally fun RPG experience. But beyond that, there's still way more. If you were, say, for example, a Minecraft player, you always have the building, the digging, and the mining, and everything that you have to do to get those things going. And building is absolutely phenomenal. I know myself and my friends have sucked ourselves into mining for weeks at a time, and we haven't even figured out how long it's been that we've been mining for. and then we set up those farms to try and get things done a little easier because obviously I was trying to take a little bit of a break. But yeah,
Yeah.
that's the fantastic thing about your game. I'm actually just praising your game right now, not asking a question. But
Oh, I was waiting for a question. I was like, okay, oh no, here comes the bad question.
but honestly, I can't believe you made such a fantastic game. It's better than I ever expected for a game of such a low price range. I expect a game like this to sell for at least $50 to $60. That,
I
that's
mean,
that's just my opinion. I'm not saying that it should be $50 or $60, but that's what it feels like. It feels like one of those games where you can release this as the official version in 2 years, and people are going to be on your back so hard for DLC to give a new experience on this game. So, like Valheim and then Valhalla or something else, basically going forward, new versions of what's going on in the game, new mobs. I'm suspecting people
yeah.
are going to mob you like that there for those types of things once this game releases, because you'll have made a masterpiece of a game. Yeah, you're almost okay. I'm not going to say that you're in the same league as Ark Survival Evolved. Ark Survival Evolved is a taming game. This is a survival game, but you're almost in the exact same league as them, and you don't have that heavy of a taming mechanic, which says that your game is unbelievable, just to say the least.
Um, we just wanted to create something that we want to play ourselves. I mean, Richard really wanted to. Anything we put into the game has to make sense. I think I've said this before in several interviews that we just don't want to put in stuff that's pretty. We don't want to put in stuff that's just there for the visuals. Anything you do in the game, we want to have nice feedback, what's going on, and like there should be a mechanic behind everything. Otherwise, it's not really worth putting it in. If you have like the thing that we have most of is like we've got two chairs. We've got them two chairs and they look a little bit different, but it's the same thing. It was almost like okay, we need to drop one of the chairs because they do the same mechanic. And we just want to put lots of these things in because it feels more not realistic, but it feels more fun to explore and find it out yourself. Like, how does this work? We've got a big thing coming in Hearth and Home that people are actually going to. How do I do this? How do I fix this? And how do I? And it's going to be really fun to see how people solve this problem
Okay.
in Hearth and Home. That's going to be fun.
Okay, so there's one last question to ask. It's just the final one. Can you give any dates on the roadmaps for when updates are expected or when DLCs are expected for the early access game?
I can't actually. I can say it soon.
Okay.
Um, I can't say that it's. I
Basic.
can't.
Okay,
I
wait.
can't. I can't give any dates. It's
I'm
not.
not
I can't
asking.
give any dates.
Okay, wait. Not a date, but basically give a time frame, like between June and September, or anything like that. Or those dates aren't even available within those ranges.
Oh, I would love to. And that's one thing that we've talked about a lot as well. We want to be more open with all the updates and everything. So after the first content patch when it releases, you'll see a different kind of Iron Gate working on Valheim. That's what we talked about. But I can't really give you a time frame because there's so many things hanging up in the air. It's not just. Oh, I wish I could, man. I really wish I could, but I can't.
Okay,
Sorry.
that's fine. That's fine. All right. So
It's gonna be soon. It's not gonna. It's not gonna be. It's gonna be soon.
no, don't worry. It's cool. The game is honestly, if you told me this was a completed game all the way up to the fifth boss, I tell you yes, that is a fantastic game with just five bosses. But if you tell me there's more to come, then I can only imagine how much better it's going to come. I'm just hoping
I hope
there's
so.
I'm just hoping there's circular or triangular piece foundations coming in the future. It would make building so much more fun.
Well, we will see. We shall see. Can't say too much about that, but yeah.
Okay, that is fantastic. So yeah, that's going to be about it for my interview. I don't have any questions left. I was actually avoiding asking that question because you did say you can't say too much, but I have to ask it. It's part of the questions that I had. So, any
Yep.
final
No, it's okay.
statements you want to give? And then I'll give my final statement and sign off.
Any final statements?
This is going out to the
We
community, anybody who ends up watching this video. Hopefully, it will be
all
quite a
right.
few.
I mean, I don't have that much to say. I mean, we at Iron Gate, we really love the support that we are getting. I know that people are waiting for this patch to drop, um, but I think that because of all the bugs that we have found, and which we are actually very grateful to have found, it'll make it much easier for us to continue working on just content, because it's the better foundation to work on. Come check us out on Twitter and on our Discord channel. I'm streaming tonight, I guess. I'm having a old beta tester come play with me on my Twitch. He's built a big village. And that's something I do as well. I try to reach out to anyone who wants to show their servers and worlds. I'll come join their world and show them on stream. But we just try to be a good developer. We just want to be close to our players, snap up the feedback that we think is good, and try to change the game as much as we can so it becomes a better Valheim overall. Thank you for everything, for even playing the game. We're really thankful and humbled over the success.
Okay, fantastic statement there, Grum. Do you want to give your real name?
My name is Robin Air.
Robin, yeah. Okay, fantastic. Yeah, and I'll just ask you for a link to your Twitch so that I can link it in my video. I love linking content creators together. I think that's the right
All
way
right.
to go. Okay, so
Yep.
now for my ending statement. This is a fantastic opportunity. As you can see, the guys from Valheim are unbelievable. They are fantastic people, as you can see with Robin over here. He has definitely been one of the most friendly developers I've ever spoken to. Being part of his community is something unbelievable, to just say the least. Being able to play this game is an honor. The fact that this game is so amazing and so addictive, I think many of you would agree that we have to thank the developers for making this game. I hope that the whole community does get behind it and say that, you know what, Valheim is a fantastic game. We need to keep making noise about it. And when it finally officially launches, I hope to see this game past the 100 million sales mark, because that would be a fantastic sign to show how great this game is. I don't even think 100 million is the limit to this game. I think it could even do a billion sales and people would still be absolutely taken away with it. And I hope that this year is the way that things progress in the future. So this is from me, Elementary 72, signing off. Hope that you all enjoyed. And look in my description down below for a link to the other content creators who are with me in my current series, and for Robin's Twitch, as he goes by Grimmcore. So I hope that you all do enjoy. Have a good day.